Hey, I'm back. I know I haven't uploaded in like literally months, but in this video I'm going to be showing how to make 3D clothing in Blender, which is something I recently learned. It's actually pretty easy, I mean depending on what you're going to be making. If you have a cube already, just press A and press delete to delete everything. Do Shift A to add, or you can go up here and press add, and add a mesh, cube. You can go ahead and just scale it down, move it up a little bit. And then Shift A. By the way, to scale, you press S and then move the mouse. To move it, you press G and then move the mouse. And if you do G and then Z, it'll move it on the Z axis, which is up and down. So that's what it did there. Anyway, so then if you do Shift A again, you can add a plane. And if you move that up with G and Z, move it above the square, right? And you click on the square again, and then we're going to go in here. We're going to go to this tab. It looks kind of like an orbit, like a moon orbiting a planet or something. We're going to add a collision. And we're just going to leave everything the same for now. And then right here we're going to go back to this thing. We're going to add cloth again. Or we're going to add the cloth to the plane. And then for now we're going to leave everything as it is as well. And then if we play the animation by hitting space or pressing the play button, make sure you're in object mode when you play it. Then it'll just fall onto the thing and it'll just kind of stay there. But that's because there's only one face. So if we did like subdivide, 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 now suddenly it looks like cloth, right? I mean, kind of. It's a little bit weird, but a little bit wonky. And the more faces you add, the like more precise it's going to be. Although sometimes less faces is better, depending on what you're going for. But after you do that, then with like basic cloth, you can do subdivide after the cloth. That's solidify. Subdivide. If you go to the modifiers, this is the modifiers tab. Add a subdivision surface modifier, and make sure it's after the cloth, because if you put it before it, then it changes how the physics work, and it not only doesn't make it laggy, but it's like unnecessary detail that's just not really, it doesn't really need to be there. So I usually just put it under for the animation, and you get some nice cloth and it looks really smooth, and you can shade it as auto smooth if you want to make it look even smoother. And then after that, you can do solidify. That'll essentially add volume to it, make it a little bit thicker. You can adjust how thick it is using this, but obviously if you make it too thick, then it's a little bit wonky. I usually leave this the same for most of my clothing, unless it's like a hoodie or something. But to be honest, increasing it very much makes it very, very thick, and that's not always necessary. You can also, if the cloth is colliding with itself, kind of like it is here, you can also go back in here, select the cloth, go to the physics right here, the physics tab, and then go to object collisions and turn on self collisions. Then replay the animation, and it should collide with itself and stop it from, doing that. And if it's being a little bit weird, you can also adjust this, which I believe adjusts how close it can come, like how close one bit of the cloth can come into another bit of the cloth. But you can just play around with the distance and whatever other properties are, I don't know. Anyway, so that's the basics of cloth. But to make clothing for Roblox, we want to do something a little bit different. And there's like this thing, right? So if I scale this down, make it a little bit bigger than the cube, and then I'm gonna minimize these. I'm gonna press this button to turn off the display so it doesn't show the modifiers anymore. Just so I can see it easier. And if you go to edit mode, press A to select it all. And then E to extrude, go down. If the blue line doesn't appear and it doesn't go on the Z axis, then press Z to make it go on the Z axis. And then press 3 or go up here and select face. Press Alt and then click on one of the sides and it'll select all around it. Press delete. Do only faces. And now it shows like all the edges connecting one face to the other, right? And so what you want to do now is you want to go back in here and you want to turn on sewing. And what happens is each vertice that's like has like an edge connecting it to another vertice or another vertex will essentially be pulled to that other vertex, and it kind of sews it together like cloth, right? And it's very useful for creating basic clothing. And you can see it kind of like wraps around the object because the object has collisions, right? Anyway, so That alone makes it very, very simple to make clothing. But in order to make Roblox clothing, it makes it easier if you have an actual Roblox avatar. So we're gonna go in here to Roblox Studio, right? Plugins. We're gonna do. Actually, it's gonna be avatar, I believe. Yeah, rig builder. I'm gonna do R6. You could try doing R15, but it might be weird. I feel like this tutorial works best for R6. You could probably apply it to R15, and I know Roblox does have some sort of clothing, like 3D clothing thing where it actually meshes to different types of avatars, but I haven't played around with it. I don't know how that works, so for now, I'm just going to be showing how to do this for R6. Anyway, so you create a new dummy using the rig builder, R6, and then you select it, right click it, and export selection. Okay, we're going to call this Roblox dummy. Right, so now we have this. We export it as an OBJ file. That's the default that it exports as. We're going to go back to Blender. We're going to go to import. Make sure you delete everything you had before if you were playing around with that. Import, go to OBJ wavefront. So then once you find the place that you saved it, find the OBJ file, open it, and it might appear where you can see it. If you can't see the dummy, then what you got to do is so make sure it's selected, right? If it's not selected or you don't know if it's selected, just press A and it'll select everything. And then do set origin to geometry. It sets the origin, that little orange dot, it sets it to the center. And then do Alt G, and that'll reset the position. You can also move it back up if you like. Anyway, so then, now the only problem with this is all the parts of the dummy are like merged together. Because we're gonna want to work with like the individual parts. Because if we try making clothing for the whole thing, then like it makes it hard to like actually make it work with animations. So yeah, I like to do all the clothing based on each individual part. So I'm gonna try and separate the parts, but it's gonna be a little bit weird. You can do by loose parts, but then it's like it looks like it's separated, but then it has like faces that are missing. But if you just select like the arm, select the bottom, select the top, and press Ctrl J, you can join the meshes. And now you can see it looks better. The texture is really weird. I don't know why the texture does this, but it makes it look like it's like see-through or something. If you want to turn it to solid, you can. But and just go through each of these body parts, join them, and then this one might be tricky. If you hold Z, you can go to wireframe. That's what I'm doing right now. So now I have the bottom of the torso selected. I just gotta, there we go. I think I got the torso. Control J. Yeah, I got the torso now. And one thing you can also do if you have like the VC parts on, I have VC parts fully separated, how they're supposed to be. If you're having a hard time reaching the top and the bottom, you can select everything and then individually deselect and then press backslash. Or no, just normal slash, never mind. Yeah, just regular slash. And it'll make so you only see those parts. It didn't delete the other ones, you just can't see them at the moment. But it makes it easier to work with individual things. And now you can press slash again, and it'll bring everything back. And now we have it all separated into individual parts. Now I like to make sure the clothing is going in the same direction as the face, but having the appearance like this with like the materials and how they're messed up and everything can make it a little bit weird. You probably just, yeah, I think you can just go in here and just remove the materials, and it kind of fixes that. But I like to be able to know which side is the front side, so that way I can like, because the front side of any typical clothing piece is going to look different than the back side, right? Another thing I like to do is I like to add a cube and just have it like, have that cube be the front. Okay, now we have our dummy, and I would recommend you save this. It's like save this, just save it as a Blender project somewhere, and then just like call it like Roblox clothing model or something like that, because if you're going to make a lot of clothing, then you're going to want to reuse this. and you're not going to want to have to like do this every single time you make clothing. But anyway, I already have a thing saved, so I'm not going to do that. But the first thing I usually do is I go to the torso. I'm probably going to make a basic t-shirt, right? So I select the torso, shift, click to select the cube because I want to remember where the front is. Then I press slash. And then you'll notice it like changes where my camera is. To focus my camera back up here, I'm going to press numpad period, and it'll focus my camera on that object. And then with that, now the basics of like making a t-shirt. So first you want to like make something and just wrap it around the whole thing. So I usually just create a plane. Also you want to go in here, you want to add collisions. I usually turn these down, but you don't really need to. And then we'll add the cloth in a second. So I'm going to move this where I want the origin to be, the origin of the shirt. And I'm going to go to face select, rotate X. So if we press R, X, 90, it'll rotate around the X axis by 90 degrees. G, Y, and then just move your mouse. And then that moves it over here, right? And make sure you're in edit mode, by the way, because then it keeps the origin in place. And then you can just work with the actual face itself. And then what I would do is I would go up here, and I'd click right here, so it flattens the view to that side. Then, since we're in edit mode, we're going to press 2 to go to the edge select. Then hold Z, go to wireframe. And we're just going to make these edges line up with the actual torso. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to bring this edge in. We're going to add a modifier, mirror. It's going to mirror on the x-axis. And we want to turn on clipping, and then when we move it out, it'll essentially merge those two edges, and that makes it a little bit easier because then you don't have to work on one side. If you want to have it not be mirrored, you don't have to mirror it, but it makes it easier. But we're not going to mirror it to the other side because the front and the back are usually going to be different. Go to this edge, move it out a little bit, because what we're going to do, so we're going to add, so this is going to be the front face, but it's going to wrap around to the side, or like half of the side, and it's also going to wrap, and then we're going to put another piece on the top and another piece on the bottom, and the piece on the top will connect to this, and the piece on the bottom will connect to this, and it'll also connect to another one on the other side. And you'll see what I mean, but just for now, expand this outward because it's going to wrap around the side. So think like about half of this length is about how far out you want to expand. And you can adjust it later too. It's not too hard to adjust later. I'm going to put it around there. And then do the Control R, subdivide, Control R. So now we have our squares. And then we're going to want to go here, wireframe. And if you select, we want to select the edges that are going to line up with the torso. So select like the innermost one and then just Control click the outermost one and it'll select all the ones in between. And then right click, extrude vertices, press Y, and move it out here. We can press the Z on the top to see where it lines up, and we can adjust it and move it to where we want it. Make sure it lines up with the torso and whatnot. And another thing, it looks like this is a little bit too far to the right, but I don't think that'll be a problem actually. So I'm just gonna leave it. Let me move this out. You do want a little bit of wiggle room, because I mean it is gonna wrap around based on the actual size of the mesh of the plane. But you do want to leave a little bit of wiggle room, and if you end up making it like too loose or too tight, then you can actually go in here. Actually, let's add the cloth real quick, and go over here, turn on sewing. Make sure the animation's at 0, by the way. Anyway, so but what was it saying? Right, so if you end up making it too tight or too loose, you can actually change the shrinking factor. If you make it negative, it'll essentially stretch out the clothing. It'll make it like looser. If you make it positive, it'll make it a lot smaller. But usually you don't want to change this very much, like maybe a tiny little bit. But usually you can leave it at 0 if you get the proportions right. If you scale this effectively. Anyway. So we have these vertices that we extruded, so we're going to select them again. And what we're going to do, actually what we're going to do is we're going to select, actually we're going to undo all that. Select those vertices, delete vertices. Okay, so select all, E, Y, and move it out. And then we're going to make it an even distance on each side. It doesn't matter if it is or not. Anyway, so now, so this is going to be the back side, this is going to be the front side. What the heck? That's not right. What? Oh. Huh. I don't know what I messed up there. Anyway. So this is going to be the... I guess it's not going to be... Whatever. Anyway, so this is going to be the front side, because that's where the block is. This is going to be the back side. And this, the bottom and the top, we're going to use to create the top and the bottom, right? Yeah, so we're going to go to the side. We're going to select... we're going to press, control, press, or click, control, click, delete, only faces. And that'll leave the edges there. And so that essentially makes it automatically sews those two sides together. And we're going to essentially want to do the same thing on the top, except only with like the first three. If we can select it in wireframe mode. Yeah, there we go. And then so delete, and then do faces instead of only faces, because we don't want to have those edges, but except we want to add this one back, because that also removed this one, but we do want to have the top one. So if you select here, hold shift and select right there, and press F, it'll join the two. And so now this, you want to make sure this lines up with the torso. And then what we're going to do is do Control R2, right click to keep it in the same place. And then S, Y, and scale it out to match the torso. Oh yeah, that's why I like to have it symmetrical, that's right. Okay, so select all, G, Y. Okay, there we go. Now it's lined up a little bit better. And then you can scale it to your heart's desire. Anyway, so there we go. And then what we want to do is this is where the sewing is going to happen. So we're going to do delete only faces. And so now this will be sewn to here, and these two will be sewn together. And now the bottom, we're going to do the bottom the same way we did the top. Actually, what we can do, yeah, okay, I have an idea. Or click right there, control, click, delete, faces. And join these vertices back together. And then what we're going to do, so click right there, control, click, and it'll select all that. Do shift D, and it'll duplicate it. Right click to not move it anywhere. And G, Z, and move it below. It doesn't have to like be like pushed onto the mesh. It's better to have it a little bit further out. As long as it's not like colliding, then it's fine. And then we're going to do this manually, right? So we're going to press, select this vertex, or we're going to start with the middle so you can see where it is. So we basically just want to like pair them up. Select this one with shift, press F, click, shift click, F, click, shift click, F. You get the idea. And so then we're just going to make it look like the top one. And then okay, and then if we do tab to go back to object mode, we can just test it. It's not finished yet, but we can see that it kind of goes how we want it to. It doesn't like, these need to like be, these need to be sewn onto there though. So that's what we're going to do next. But you can see that it does wrap around it pretty well. So what we're going to do next is we're going to want to count these. So it's going to be this one and this one are going to be attached to the same one in the middle. Essentially we're going to split this, right? So we need to figure out how many we need to split into. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And since these two are going to be the same, it's going to be 5, 6, 7, right? So Control R, 7. If you press the number, it'll just do the amount automatically. And then you just want to pair it up like we did with the other one, but we're going to do it going diagonally. Then press tab to go back to object mode. Space, you can test it out. It's a little bit wonky. We're going to do the bottom first, and then we're going to adjust this. It was 7, I believe. Was it? I believe so. Okay, and now it looks like it's like the scaling is a little bit off. We could go in here and we could adjust this, but then that makes the whole thing bigger, and we don't want the whole thing to be bigger. We just want the sides, or we don't, actually we want it to be smaller, but we don't want the whole thing to be smaller. We just want the sides to be smaller. If it's too small, it's gonna like try and go inside the body part and slide down or whatever. But since, as you can see, the side is a little bit baggy, what we want to do is pause the animation, go back, and then select the bottom right, control to select all of them on the side, shift select this one, control select. So now we selected the whole side, and then what you want to do is go up here and turn this on, and probably use smooth. You can play around with these if you want to, but this is a really cool tool, but I would just leave it on smooth. And then do G, X, and you see the circle I have? You can use the scroll wheel to adjust how big the circle is, but it basically is sort of like a sphere of influence with how you move it. But you can essentially adjust the size of the whole thing like that, and now you can see it's less baggy. So I'm probably just gonna actually, let's do it just a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's good. So that got rid of the bagginess. But as you notice, it doesn't really look like a shirt. It just looks like, I mean, it looks like cloth, I guess. But we're gonna want to add a hole for the head. And yeah, anyway, so then we're also gonna want to do this. I mean, you're gonna wait until the end to do this, but sometimes I like to do it to start just to see how it looks. So add your subdivision, add your solidify. But make sure they're after the cloth because it makes it easier for the. Then do shade smooth, or you can do shade auto smooth. Depends on kind of the style you're going for. Shade smooth kind of like enhances the creases a little bit more, but shade auto smooth makes it like you can't really see the creases near as much. But it's a different style, so it depends on what you're going for. I'm gonna do shade smooth. But you can already see it looks like something, not really clothing, but looks like something. Anyway, so we go back in here, move the camera, solid. Okay, now we're gonna add the part for the head. So first thing you want to do is not that. So we're gonna turn those displays off. Then we're gonna go select this. So select, control select, shift select, control select, shift select, control select. Just kind of like select out a sort of region for the neck. That might be big enough. Faces. What if we did like select the vertices, delete vertices, because we don't want it to be connected anymore because we deleted that. This is going to be separate from this part. And then what you want to do, you just want to, oh my gosh, I can't see it. You want to go in here. Is there like an easy way for me to, I don't know, maybe if it rendered. No, I can't tell the difference. Anyway, whatever. You just want to GX or woo. It would be nice if I could just like. Okay, there we go. But we also don't want to like move the outside bits, so it's probably best to turn this off. You just kind of move this to make it. Basically, I'm just rounding it out, rounding out the part that goes around the neck. You can adjust that however you would like to adjust it. Might just do that for now. And then you want to click here, and if you want a V-neck type of thing, you want to turn this on first of all. If you want a V-neck, I would recommend doing sharp, and probably make the circle pretty big. You might also want to, oh yes, okay, so one thing that'll make this easier. Go here, cursor, and move the cursor up to the bottom of your thing. Select box so don't accidentally move the cursor again. Select this, control select the entire edge, and then when we go up here, we're gonna go up here and then go to 3D cursor. So this is gonna scale it based on the 3D cursor. So now notice like if we scale on the Z-axis, it scales it down towards the 3D cursor, and that just makes it a little bit easier to like, because before if we just move this down, it like kind of makes all the parts or all the vertices really close together, and that can kind of mess with the physics a little bit. So it's a little bit better if you just go like this. We could even do all of them but the bottom one if we wanted to. And kind of just shape out the V-neck, or if you want to do more of a U-neck, you can do smooth. Adjust how you need to. I'll leave mine like that. Just make sure it's like the right proportions. Okay. Yeah. And then you can already see it looks pretty good. I mean, you could just leave it like that, honestly, and call this a shirt. But I mean, you can do a lot more with it. But honestly, that's about all you really need to do. All you really need to do. If you want to like, you can get creative with it too. And if you want to like add like seams or creases, you can like do this. Delete only faces, and that'll essentially add a crease. Especially out on Shape Smooth. It'll add a crease. And you can do that to add some design. No, but it'll also make it shorter. So if you do that, you're probably gonna want to make it longer. However, yeah, you could just like do that or something. Make it longer again. And then for coloring, you can import it into Blender like this, or into Roblox. You can basically, if you do convert to mesh, now you basically have a mesh. You have the vertices, and if you need to use the Decimate, I'll get into that later. Anyway, I'm gonna undo that. If you wanna, you can import this into Roblox as it is right now, once we convert it to a mesh. But if you wanna like texture like different parts of the clothing different colors, then what you wanna do, like say I wanted to make this like this stripe a different color, then what you could do is first of all turn this off. Go to material preview so you can see the colors, and then what you want to do is go to materials, create a new material, go to this, the vertex stuff, go to color attributes, new color attribute, go back to materials, go to base color, click on this dot, color attribute, and change it to color. And so now this makes so we can use vertex paint, which if we go over here, object, vertex paint. Whoa. That's kind of weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, we can just do it like this. But you can see you can kind of paint it. You can change the color by right clicking or by going down here. Kind of pick your color. You can just paint it like this, or alternatively, if you have like specific sections you want to color, then what you can do is you can go object mode. You can go select the part that you want to color. Just select all the faces. Anyway, so that's the part I want to color this a different color than that color. So I'm going to select all that, go over to vertex paint, and we're going to go up here, click on face. And if you do Shift K, it'll color everything that's selected, or if nothing's selected, it'll just color everything. And also, I recommend coloring things with 0 saturation. In other words, like make it like a grayscale, because then when you go into Roblox, you can actually like essentially adjust the color. So basically, if you want one color to be darker than the other, then like say we want this to be like nearly white, right? We currently have it as white, so we want that to be white, and then we want the rest of it to be like a darker color, right? So say we change the color in Studio to green, then this would be light green and this would be dark green, right? I mean, if you want it to be different colors, you can color them different colors, but then it makes it harder to adjust the color in Roblox Studio. And if you're able to adjust the color in Roblox Studio, you can actually give players like customization options so they can color their own clothing, right? So that's the idea behind that. Anyway, so we're gonna color this one now. We can use the wireframe mode and flatten the view so we can select it easier. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go back to vertex paint. We're going to choose a different color. I'm going to choose like a grayish color. Shift K. And then go back to object mode. We're going to do material preview. And now you can see we kind of colored the shirt a little bit. I mean, you can also, the same way we added a crease here, you could add a crease around the neck, theoretically. If you wanted to like have like a crease, kind of like how a lot of shirts do. But or you can leave it like this, which I'm going to do, because yes, you can get a lot more advanced with this if you choose to. But yes, I made a hoodie before. It was a lot harder than this, I'll just say that. This is like the most basics, like the absolute basics of clothing from my current experience. And you'll notice, you can kind of like see those lines there. that's usually a sign that you need to have it stretch out a little bit because it's having a hard time reaching, like the parts that are trying to be sewn together are having a hard time reaching each other. So you can whenever that happens, you can try moving this to negatives just a little bit. Although I don't know that that fixed anything, so maybe I don't really know what I'm doing. Whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, you can also change the shading too, like I mentioned before. So once you've finished making your clothing, click on your clothing, right click, convert to mesh. And then usually what I do is I just delete it. Alright, I select everything, and then shift and essentially deselect the shirt and then press delete, and it deletes everything but the shirt. And that's why I mentioned you want to save the clothing model separately. But anyway, so then we have the shirt, but the problem is it has a lot of triangles. The max triangle limit is 10,000. If you want to see your triangles, then you can go up here. Maybe not right there. Where is it? Right here. We can go up here, go to statistics. That's how I have that, and it'll show all the triangles. If we go to edit mode, it shows the triangles. And we go to modifiers. We can add a decimate modifier. And this is basically like the optimization modifier. I mean, there's different like versions. Planar like changes, so like there's like an angle limit. It'll flatten faces that have under a certain angle. But sometimes it can kind of distort how it looks. And if you have smooth shading, like auto smooth shading, you can decimate it a lot, and it doesn't really change how it looks too bad. Like it looks like it doesn't really look much different now than it does like this, right? But like the face count, like as you can see right here, and the triangles are like way lower, but like it barely looks any different. But if you have smooth shading, you can see the creases better, but it also kind of like the collapse decimate affects it a little bit more. You can also try unsubdivide, which can work, but it like makes it look a little bit different, but it might be better. Yeah, like this looks pretty fine. I'm gonna try using collapse though, because I don't think I'll need to do too much. Just get like just under 10,000. I usually just aim right under 10,000. And so now it's pretty much Roblox ready, so we can just apply the modifier. That's what I just did. You can either do right here in the apply, you can do Control A. And make sure the triangles is below 10,000. If it's not below 10,000, you have to come back here and decimate it again to make it below 10,000. Otherwise, you won't be able to upload it. And then do, actually, I'm skipping things. What am I doing? Okay. I forgot about the sleeves. Silly me. So we have this. We're just going to convert it to a mesh since we're done with it. We also want to go here and we want to turn off the collisions, get rid of the collisions. And then we're going to reset the cursor to the world origin by doing Shift S. Cursor to world origin. Add another plane. This time we're going to do one of the arms. You don't have to do both arms unless the arms are going to be different, then you do have to do both arms. And you're just going to do this, move this up, position it roughly the same position as the thing. I'm going to make a short sleeve shirt. You can make a long sleeve or do it however you want. But then basically we're doing the same thing but on a smaller thing. We're going to change this back to median point. RX 90 GY wireframe, scale it in appropriately, scale the length of the sleeve however long you want it to be. Then we're not gonna do the mirror thing like we did before, because we're gonna mirror it to the other side afterwards. Actually, what we can do, since this is essentially gonna be the same on all four corners, we can actually do a double mirror. Do the mirror object as this, except we're going to go here, set origin to geometry, and do the mirror object as this, the origin to geometry. Yeah, and then do z-axis as well. then turn on clipping, turn off this. Except that's not quite right. For some reason it's not symmetric. There we go. So if that doesn't work, do origin to center of mass. That apparently worked. And then you can adjust this as needed if you do need to adjust it. I don't believe I do. Okay, and then we're going to want to move this out like we did before. So it has room to wrap around essentially. And then Control R. And this time we're going to do it a little bit differently. Instead of extruding it, we already have this here. So what we can do is we can just select these. We're going to do right click, extrude vertices, press Y, and then just move to the end. And since clipping is on, it's going to connect the vertices automatically, and it'll work automatically if we actually go over here, cloth, sewing, turn on physics, or collision, I mean. And you can see there's a bit of a problem. It's not connected on the other side. If it's not connected like that, then that means that the clipping is not working. Yeah, okay, so yeah, we just need to move it out a little bit. And now it clips effectively. But the problem is we don't have a top, so it just kind of tries to slide up like that. So we need to add a top. And then do E to extrude. Just kidding. Control Z. Extrude vertices, right click like you did before. And then view from the top. Press F to join the edges or the vertices. And then do E, Y, move it all the way up. And now it looks like we probably want to move this out just a little bit. It's okay if these don't line up perfectly. It's best to have them line up as good as you can get them. But it is okay if they don't line up perfectly. Usually it still works out for the most part. What the heck? That's not right. I have extra vertices. Okay, we're just gonna redo that. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so it's best to have these line up, but it doesn't matter if they're not perfect, as long as they're close. Anyway, so then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, just kidding. Actually, we already have it mirrored, so we only need to do 3. Actually, we only need to do 2. Just kidding, we do need to do 3. And now, okay, so there's a bit of a problem. It looks like, I think it's too tight on the sides. So I think that just means we're going to turn this on, G, X, and move it out a little bit. Then also, you're probably going to want to move these. I don't think the position of these changes anything, but just in case it does, we're going to move them out a little bit. Looks like it's maybe a little bit too tight still on that side. Control, and then G. So we're gonna do that. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then we do shade smooth. And then we're gonna do subdivision surface. I usually keep it at 1 because that usually helps it not deform later when we decimate it. And then, cool. And there's the sleeves. Except that's not right. Whoa. Okay, I think I know what that is. I think the clipping is not correct. No? It is? I'm just going to delete those faces and remake them. Because that's what I know how to do. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't know how to do that. let's with faces. There we go. There we go. I don't know what was wrong there, but we fixed it now, so all is well in the world. I don't know what I just did. I hope I didn't break it. Cool. Okay, now it looks good. So now we finished that. Convert to mesh, and then we're going to do mirror. Mirror it over the head, and then do apply. Just kidding, we're not going to apply it yet. We're going to go, okay, this part only. We're going to do, actually going to remove the mirror for a second. We're going to do decimate. The triangles are already under 5,000. We don't need to decimate it. Cool. So then we're going to do mirror again. And this one we already converted to mesh, I believe. We just need to decimate it still, I think. So decimate it. This will lower the triangle count. We want to get it just under 10,000. And if you want, you can, like I mentioned, you can try these. Should they make it appear any better? But usually the collapse works fine. Especially if you have auto smooth on, then it basically doesn't change anything. Apply, and now we're done. Select everything but the clothing, delete, except apply the mirror first. Delete, go over here. Now that the mirror is applied, tab A, P, apply loose parts. That'll separate those, and now we have a shirt. Now what we're going to do, save it, first of all. And also export it. Basic t-shirt, export. And go to Roblox, Asset Manager, upload. Then resculpt to large reverse inward pointing meshes, and make sure this is unchecked. We don't want this checked, we want it to be separate. Apply all. Wait for it to import. If it says that it has too many faces or too many triangles, you need to go in and you need to use a Decimate modifier or do whatever you can to make it less triangles, essentially. And then it'll show the recently added right here, so you can just do click, shift click, right click, insert with location. And I usually group it automatically. I also just realized I didn't color the shoulders, but it'll be fine because they're going to be a solid color anyway. It might bother me, whatever. I'll just leave it as is. It's fine. We're going to just position this onto the character. You're going to want to make sure it's positioned correctly. You just got to look around, make sure it's not like merging with the mesh at all. Okay, and then what you want to do, I usually ungroup it, Control X, click on the dummy, right click, paste into at original location, and then I also like to rename the parts. So basic t-shirt, right arm, that's the left arm, basic t-shirt, right arm, basic t-shirt, so I usually like to rename it just for organizational purposes. Then you can also change the material. If you want it to be smooth, you can do smooth plastic, or you can do regular plastic, or you can make your own materials, since that's the thing now. I oftentimes do sand. Okay, and then material, sand. And then, okay, maybe it doesn't look as good as I thought it did. Change the color to white. Okay, yeah, sand is not doing it. I don't know. It looks a lot different in this game than it does in my game. Maybe the lighting's different, but you can play around with materials. I'll probably just use smooth plastic, I guess. But what I mentioned earlier about the making it like grayscale, if you do that, then you can like choose like a color like this, and then you can see it like kind of like, it works good. It makes it easily customizable. But obviously sometimes you want more than one color, so that might not always be the possibility. But anyway, so now you have a shirt. If you want to make sure it like works with animations, you're gonna want to go. I use Moon Animator. It costs money these days, I believe, but I think you can just do like model weld, because we just want to weld these parts to the thing. Weld. Yeah, I think this will work just as good. Okay. So I'll click on arm, click on the shirt, click on the, which one's switch? Click on the torso. I want to weld the torso. Oh, okay. So okay, so click on torso. Click on great. Okay, cool. Except torso second. Yeah, there we go. Because we want the weld to be in the torso. And now, if we go to like do an animation, we're gonna just do like new big animation. Now that it's welded, now it works. And if you want to put on the your actual avatar with scripting, then you're gonna have to create a new weld, and then you're gonna have to like set part 0 to like the right arm, or the set part 0 to the left arm, part 1 to the mesh for the left arm, and then adjust the C0 property or the C1 property to adjust the offset. And it's gonna, what you need to do for that is gonna vary depending on your actual clothing, but maybe another video. Anyway. But yeah, and you can also copy this dummy. You can paste them into starter player, paste into name and starter character. Hit play. Now you can play around it. Okay, maybe. I can't move though. I don't know why I can't move. Maybe it's anchored. Could also be due to collisions, perhaps. So unanchor him, go to the clothing. We don't want collisions to be on. We also probably want to go over here, turn on maskless, so it doesn't affect how your character moves around. Now let's try it. Yeah, there we go. Cool. And there you go. And you can do pants pretty much the same way. Works well.